It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope you take one or two things away that maybe force you to go deeper into something, but something that will be useful to you and useful to your society. Indeed, one of the things that I want to leave with you is that you will not be that useful to your society if all you do is to hang around, go to school, get an education for the purpose of prosecuting your own life's agenda alone. And then you make a lot of money, you die off, and you get buried. Which is what most people go through, including billionaires. My suggestion to you is that there's another way. And the other way is make your life more useful than it will be to only you. And if you did that, I think there will be generations after you that will remember you and consider that at least you did not walk this earth for nothing. The main theme is not about that, so I won't speak too much about that. It's not about making money, it's not about anything, it's just about finding some space to make an impact. And the thinking should be, what can I do to make my society better? And what can I do to use my education or what I have been able to get out of this life to make other people better? And in that sense, we are remembering Professor George Ayittey today. So Professor George Ayittey is what we call a public intellectual. And he's a very learned person. He could have made his money as a consultant, stayed in that area, taking care of himself, died and gone quietly. Okay. But like the gentleman said, he had him deal with an issue. All the time, whenever you have to deal with something that goes beyond yourself and something that affects your society, you will confront some people, you will step on some toes. But you should have the courage of your conviction that it is necessary. And for that reason, step out of your comfort zone like he did. All right. And today we are gathered here remembering him. And I would say it's unfortunate that many of you don't know about him, but that's also one of the things you take away from this place. Make a note of it, read what you can about him, and pick one or two things. But the first thing I want to say is that we are remembering him today, not anybody else, because he stepped out of his normal area to use his learning and understanding to confront the situations in society and to shed light on aspects of it in a way that has made a difference. And the question is, how do you become a George Ayittey? I do believe you should be better than George Ayittey, be better than Kofi Bentil, be better than anybody. But you get there and then you surpass it. How do you become that person? And I don't say this lightly. I've been waiting here for a few hours and I'm quite busy, but I took this time to speak to you because we need to replace George Ayittey. We need those of you coming to find the reason to step out and stretch out and replace the George Ayitteys who are dying. Those of us who stepped in some of those areas, I'm old now. My hair is gone. So we are passing off, and we need to replace George Ayittey. We need to, find people to step in the spaces that we have occupied, and hopefully you will do that. So one of the things I want to deal with today is, how do you become a George Ayittey? How do you become a George Ayittey? And first thing, you can. It doesn't take a special person. You can. Okay? Those of us who step into the public limelight, you'll be surprised that many of us actually don't or didn't. Very odd. Okay? But you can, depending on how you set your mind. And I'll discuss a few of the reasons why we need to set our mind to do some of these things. I've said first that you will not be useful to humanity or state. Come around, get an education, take care of yourself, die and go. That will be sad. That is because one of the things that human beings have been able to do, which separates us from animals, is the ability for us to get together, okay, and agree on certain things and prosecute an agenda for our well-being. It is the concept of society. That is one of the reasons human beings left caves and started communities and generated what we call development. Lions are stronger than humans. Chimpanzees are stronger. Gorillas are stronger. But we are smarter. And in our smartness, if we stayed apart, if a lion met you alone, you won't be much. If you met a gorilla alone, it won't be a battle. If you were to deal with a bear, it won't be an issue. The bear will win. But we came up with a concept of society, which is to combine our little strengths together so that together we can do more than what an individual can do. Now that concept is what led to hunting in groups, which became more effective when we started hunting in groups with tools. Dogs hunt in groups, right? Many different animals hunt in groups with only instinct. But we developed tools. And that's a long story from the cave to the skyscraper. Point is, society is the reason you don't live in a cave. Society is the reason you don't have to hunt for your food. You can go and buy it. And if you read all the things that over 5,000 years have been developed, from Socrates and Aristotle through all the philosophers, etc., to John Locke, okay, the concepts of society, over 5 years of human thinking have led us to a point where now we have a certain concept of society, which essentially says that it is proper for us to gather ourselves in a group and to give up portions of our rights, so that those rights will be put together in some sort of authority that will do for us things we can't do for ourselves, like dig a gutter from your house to the sea, so that you don't drown in your own sewage. Like treat water and pipe it to you. Like do a road. Things you can't do for yourself, but which if we get together in society, we can do. Again, this lecture is not about that, but read about that. But the point you need to know is that, but for that concept, which separated us from animals, we wouldn't be here. You will be hunting for your food. But that concept also has its minuses. So when you have given those rights to somebody and asked the person, do for me what I can't do for myself, which does not say, come and feed me in the morning or be my nanny, those people can take those powers and abuse them. Of getting dictators. So you must be on the constant lookout to make sure that those powers that you gave whoever to do for you what you can't do for yourself will not be stretched beyond what you required of them to do. The day you stop that, the day you start breeding dictators. Is the day you start breeding beings that want to do everything for you. And it's the day they take that power that you give them and even take more, and they can turn around and oppress you. So you need to understand how those principles came about, how they work, and how you can work them. Now, in the process, like I said, it's taken 5,000 years thinking and experimenting. And people died for this stuff. So the next important point is the good society. I've explained to you society. And I've made the point that society can go very bad. You can end up in North Korea. All right, it can go very, very, very bad. So the concept of the good society is the one that we want, the one that actually does for us what we cannot do for ourselves, and the one that facilitates the achievement of our greatest potentials. All right? Without a good society, you will not achieve your greatest potential. With a good society, you will achieve your greatest potential. Depending on where you are, it matters where you are. Elon Musk is from Africa, you know that? You know about Elon Musk? Okay, it's just an example, but he's from Africa. At a point he felt, no, this place is not good for me. He left and went to Canada. Now, he didn't want to be in the army in South Africa. Smart guy. Because he thought, this is nonsense. He left, went to Canada. But he didn't just escape to Canada just to escape the army. He goes to Canada and he has these big dreams of doing things. Canada is a very fine place. All right? But he figured out, I may not be able to achieve all these things here in Canada. So he left and went to the US, where he feels the surrounding, the society, will give him the facilitation to become what he can become. Today, he's the richest man in the world. And some people say the most important human being who ever lived. That's arguable. But yes. My point is this. If you don't manage to build that society you want, then you'll have to escape to a better one. Who built that one? Why don't you build your own? But the point is, the society you live in has a way of helping you to achieve your greatest potential or limiting you. So point number one, if you want to be a George Ayittey, have this in mind. What is the good society? And ask yourself, how do I contribute to achieve that? And I've told you, if you don't contribute to achieve that, it will become a North Korea. And this country has experienced that before. I have lived through a period where people caught people's mothers, stripped them naked, and lashed them in the streets. I have lived through a period where people took people from their homes and shot them. You all know about the annual ceremonies we have about the judges that were. These are judges. These were amongst the most powerful people in the land. And they sat and passed judgment as they should. They were not one. They were not weak. They had all kinds of security around them. But a young man broke the rules, and a couple of people who definitely were less in society, in standing, in education, picked them up like chicken, took them into the bush and shot them. That's what happens if you don't build a good society. You will be left defenseless. So please keep that in your mind. You need to figure that out, what it is. Maybe Aceye will find another time for you to deal with that. But indeed, Google these things. There's a lot written about what the good society is. And say you will of building a good society. That happens by people who educate themselves and then take their education and apply it to their society. So I say here, it's no use to just go to school, make money, die, and go off. Educating yourself is very different from going to school. Very different. You can go through school and be totally uneducated. Absolutely uneducated. I'm a lecturer. I meet different people. Undergrad, master's. I do corporate training. I meet a lot of people. You will be surprised how many educated people are unenlightened and have basically gone through school but are ignorant about even basic things. So, first point, I said, be educated and different from going through school. Go through school. But you will find more than 50% of the things that you will learn that makes a difference are things that you learn by yourself. What school teaches you is how to learn. School never teaches you what you need to live. If you want this information, you find it here, you find it there, you put it together this way, you draw it out this way, this is how it makes sense, this is how you apply it, this is what it means. Those are the principles for learning. The stuff you learn by the time you leave here are obsolete. But you learn how to learn. So you continue to learn. And when you have educated yourself about the necessary things, the things that are necessary, you now make that knowledge beneficial to your society. Make that knowledge beneficial to your society at large. So somebody who asks, what do I study and how do I make that beneficial? What do you study? Are you a student? What course are you doing? Accounting. Somebody who asks, how do I use accounting to make the world a better place and make it benefit my society, etc. There's a lot you can do with accounting. But here's the point. Study anything, everything you want to study. Things I'm here to tell you is that, like I said, it's about developing your mind and learning how to learn. Okay? And in your particular generation, you come to find very quickly that everything you learn really, it will be useful, but it's not going to be as useful as you think. You are going to have to relearn. We dealt with the issues of the Industrial Revolution and Information Age, okay, where people were worried about automation and all kinds of things taking people's jobs. And there were screams and shouts 30, 40 years ago about computers coming up and all these things and how everybody's going to become unemployed. Since computers came out and all these things happened, more employment has been created than in those days, and life is better. All right? Now, those were little things. Today we are dealing with AI. AI is a major paradigm shift. And a major paradigm shift means that you are going to have to pick up from the bottom. So that point becomes even more poignant when I speak about making sure that you learn and then are also educated. But the point I want to make here is that anything you learn is useful or can be useful. What you need to do is to master it. Okay, please master it. Across the 5,000 years of philosophy and all the things that have brought human beings where they are, the people who have changed the world have come from different fields. Different poets and writers have changed. Philosophers have changed the world. One of the people who changed the world most, in fact, the person who is reputed to be the greatest man who has ever walked, had only 3 years and he was not educated. Jesus Christ. What did he learn? Alright? Divinity aside. My point is, of people have changed the world. Poets, scientists, engineers, all kinds of people have changed the world. Writers, okay, graffiti artists, rappers have changed the world. People who did classics, okay, all kinds of. There's a story about Steve Jobs. You know Steve Jobs, the one who invented Apple, and he dropped out of college. And then, once he dropped out of college, he would go in and sit in class. He didn't pay school fees, or he had dropped out. But when the class is going, he would just go and sit in. And one of the classes he went to sit in was a class in calligraphy. You know calligraphy? The art of writing. It's the most useless course in the whole world. At the time it was, and now it still is. I mean, if you want to write, write. You understand? If I can see what you've written, that's fine. So for somebody to create a course around the art of writing, and then fonts, some fonts look like this, some look like that, some have serifs, some don't have serifs. You understand? It was like, what are you going to do with this? I'm just trying to make a point. Steve Jobs found it interesting, so he sat through those classes. I am aware, because I saw and used some of those computers when they started being invented. They were green characters on a black screen. You will see the pictures one way or the other, but I don't believe you have experienced them. I guess you have. But we worked with some of them. C:/. This is black screen with green characters. There was only one font. Green. And it pops up like that. Because of those useless classes that Steve Jobs sat through, which didn't have any way at the time of making sense. When he invented his computer, he put fonts in them. Because he sat through calligraphy classes. That is why you have fonts on your phone and your computers, and every computer has fonts. Do you get the point? The most useless course changed the world. So the first thing I want to tell you is, it doesn't matter what you're studying. You know what I studied for my first degree? Geography. Today everybody knows me as a lawyer. The lawyer is one of the last courses I did. I did geography. I was an expert in geographic information systems. And at the time I was digitizing maps. Nobody knew about them. It was pretty useless. Today, you know what that has become? Google Maps. Google Maps that you use is what I was working on in 94. Not that particular one. I'm saying Google Maps came out of geographic information systems. And at the time it was pretty useless. But what do you do with a geographer? You understand? But the point is, whatever you are studying, master it. Master it. Be a master of that thing. Then you will find its role somewhere in society. If you don't find it, it will find you. But master it. If you're studying accounting, master it. What are you studying? IT. Master it. And if you master it, you will find its purpose, or it will find you. But after you've mastered it, whatever it is, now seek how you can use it to change things around you. Like I said, graffiti artists have changed the world. Rappers have changed the world. All kinds of people. Look, there was a short woman, short and weak. And she figured out she couldn't do anything with herself except to be a Catholic nun. So she became a Catholic nun. Catholic nuns, they go and hide in a convent somewhere and spend the rest of their lives there. Hiding in a convent somewhere, short, weak woman, she couldn't see what she could do there. She said, look, I just want to go and help people. That I can do. I can wipe somebody's soul. I can beg for food and give it to a poor person. That I can do. And she said, where in the world do you have the craziest problems? If you go to India, you understand. I've been there. I've seen it. Grinding poverty. So she goes and sets up somewhere in Calcutta and decides to help people. When she died, there was the biggest gathering of presidents in this world that had ever been seen. I'm talking about Mother Teresa. Are you getting my point? Yeah. When that woman died, presidents, the biggest gathering of presidents that had ever been seen. I hope you are getting my point. Whatever you are doing is not useless if you can find where it connects and give yourself to it. I've already told you, that is how you put meaning in your life. That is how you become another George Ayittey. So George Ayittey was what we call a public intellectual. He took his economics and he confronted the situations around him. And there is risk to it. But that is what makes you more useful. And in the process, he challenged a whole generation. First, not to have obsequious respect for people who are simply older than you, especially when they are messing up serially, regardless that they are presidents or heads of states, and not to fear them even if they had guns. It's easier said, but it can be done. I said George Ayittey inspired a whole generation not to have obsequious respect. Respect for nothing. Respect the person simply because they are older than you. Respect. It is useful to you for you to do that. The thing is, no matter who you are, what you are, if you are disrespectful, you will not get access to some places. So, of course, be respectful. If you approach me disrespectfully, I'll dismiss you. So you need to respect. But there is a level to it. That level is that give the person the respect that, one, they deserve. So a lot of that comes, he's the vice chancellor, he's my lecturer, he deserves a certain amount of respect. Then give them the respect they earn. Beyond what they deserve, let them earn the rest. Now, without being disrespectful, you can be firm and you can be fair. You can stand your ground and you can hold the courage of your convictions. But you must prepare to be able to do that. I have to debate people on radio and on TV. Sometimes there are ministers who have them, but what do you know? What I know, I have prepared and I'm here with you. And this I know. So what I know, I will push it and continue to push it. 9 times out of 10, we win. So it means it is not about him or his position. Prepare. Now, when you confront them, give them the respect they deserve, and then give them what they earn. There's a difference. So George Ayittey says that, look, you must appreciate something. And one of the things you must appreciate are African leaders who have sat over us and told us how great they are, taking all power to themselves, and consistently mess up to the point where Africa is where it is. Why should I follow you? Why should I continue to respect you? When you've only failed. And he called them hippos. Read about it. And then he inspired that generation and said, you should be different. Be cheaters. Hippos are fat. Cheaters are slender. Hippos are slow. Cheaters are fast. And his hope was that you will be different and you will do different things, run, leapfrog, and move to another level and leave the hippos behind. Now, simple as it may seem, it will inspire you to appreciate that that obsequious respect is not going to create the change you want. But you have to get up and be a cheetah. And you better respect, if you want to be a cheetah, the cheetah is the fastest animal on earth. You have to be master at something. You understand? So master something. And when you master that thing and you go and you are, maybe on a panel with a minister somewhere, and the minister says something which maybe is not right, you don't say, go away, you crazy old man, where did you learn this from? You give him the respect he deserves, Mr. Minister, but respectfully, you're wrong. And tell them what is right. And like he said, back it with data. Prepare yourself and make the point. Okay, so that is one of the things you need to do if you replace George Ayittey. And it doesn't happen quickly also. It takes time. So you won't start today and finish tomorrow. And like I said, it takes you educating yourself. And it takes you doing it over a long time. Imagine he's 20 years old. I've been an activist for over 20 years. It's not something that you just start and then you just hop into. It will take developing yourself and going outside your comfort area. One of the things I advise people to do after saying, learn everything, whether it's calligraphy or classics, learn it, is that in all your learning, study economics. And I don't mean study it as if you're going to write an exam. Today, you can study up to degree level online for free. Every course that is taught in a university, you can study it up to degree level as if you're going to write and get a degree. Online for free. So I urge all persons who I speak to, young people like you, whatever you are studying, what do you study? Accounting. Are you all do accounting? Okay. Please take some time and read about economics. Understand economics. The reason is that it helps you to appreciate human nature. Economics is described as a social science. Whatever they describe it as, there is something about economics. You see, in the normal sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, you learn what has been observed. Nobody invented gravity. You know that? Hello? You know that? Nobody invented gravity. You know that? Somebody discovered gravity. You realize that? Yeah. So, in the sciences, one of the things you realize is that you come to knowledge as we go on. Somebody discovered there was something called an atom. Then later they discovered that you could split the atom. Before they discovered it, that truth was there already. They just now discovered it. And then when they discover it, they figure out how to manipulate it. Then you get a bomb, you get nuclear energy. You follow? The thing about economics is that economics is exactly like the physical sciences. But because we call it the social science, people misunderstand its import. When you talk about the power or the principle or concept of demand and supply, which all of you have discussed or come across, right? Good. We say price equilibrium is where demand meets supply. You understand? You heard that before. It was not invented. That was true when we lived in caves as humans. That was true 10,000 years ago. That has been true in every market since creation. But somebody discovered it and put some sort of structure to it to make you understand it more. So there's something I always say. I say the laws of economics are laws of nature, just like gravity. And you cannot break them. Whatever you do, you'll find a way. Now, the reason why I say study economics and maybe not sociology is that understanding economics for yourself makes you understand human nature. This is why. More than 80% of the decisions you make, and the decisions your parents make, and the decisions your friends make, and the decision your government makes, is because of the laws of economics. Benefits. You may not know it. It may not be explained to you in graphs. But if you understand some of these things, then you will understand that in this world, there are no choices. There are only options. In economics, they call it opportunity cost. You understand? So somebody comes and tells you, we're going to solve this problem, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. How are they going to do that? They're going to take resources from somewhere and apply it to this thing. And the question you ask yourself is not about what they are going to do, but what the cost is. And the cost is not the money. The cost is the trade-off, what they gave up for that. You follow? So understand economics. You don't have to understand it to become an econometric professor. Understand this. And don't kid yourself. They are not. They are not making interest. Like the scientists do, you can understand them and manipulate them. So for instance, you can get what you want from somebody by understanding that they make economic decisions and figure out how to get them to do what you want. So in all that you learn economics. The next thing I tell people to study is history. History is important because it tells you why or how it got here. And the thing about history is that the world kind of goes round. In the Bible, it says there's no new thing. History gives you facts about what people did at a point, given a certain set of circumstances. And if you can understand some of those things well, first, it teaches you what not to do. Because history is the lesson that experience taught your forefathers. You heard that experience is the best teacher, right? It's the worst teacher. Only a fool insists on learning by experience what they can learn from other people's experiences. Only a fool insists on learning from their own experience what they can learn from other people's experiences. Do you understand? If I hit my head against this wall and blood came out, and somebody tells you or you see what has happened, and you say, well, you will experience it for yourself before you depict it, that's fine. Okay. But you see, when you study history and you appreciate some of these things, when you see some things happening, you will appreciate it better. And with the benefit of the history that you know, properly situated in context, you will look wiser than your peers. So read. Okay. So how do you become a George Ayittey? Study everything. By the way, I need to be signaled when my time is out. Who do the signaling? Who? Please give me one time. So you will come and tell me how much time I have left, right? So let learn history, okay? At the end of the day, you still have 15 minutes left. I have 2 hours worth of speaking to do, but we'll deal with it. The last point about history, learn your own history. Don't, when I mean learn your own history, study it for yourself. Okay? All history books are a one-sided story from the point of view of the writer. It's called, the victor's, viewpoint. History is written by somebody and it's written by that person for their viewpoint. That's why they said Christopher Columbus discovered America. You understand that one? There were human beings there. It's from the point of view of Europeans. So learn your own history. And if I had time, I would have shown you a few very interesting things about Ghana's history. Okay. But I learned that because I didn't read just our history books. I have read history books from all kinds of places. You read different viewpoints and then you understand. Okay? And like I said, history is the viewpoint of somebody. Ghana's history is mostly the viewpoint of family. A lot of it is wrong. A lot of it is not true. A lot of it is not true. The red in our flag is not true. A lot of the history you have been told, and again, I don't have the time out of the red in our flag, they tell you is a bloodshed by your forefathers, right? You know nobody fought for independence. You've been told that they believe it. But that's what we do here. I don't have time. Listen. The independence of this country was negotiated by your forefathers who had the intellectual wherewithal to go to England, sit with the Lords, negotiate and obtain it. There was a lot of fighting between political parties in Accra. Nobody was fighting the British. The British, read your history, came here and handed it to us. They will tell you the 3 ex-servicemen who were going to the 3 ex-servicemen were going to collect their salary. You will know that. And they were shut down. Because they were shut down, someone took advantage of it, okay? And in the ensuing melee, okay, we ended up with independence. The name Ghana didn't even come from Ghana. Okay? My point is simple. If you just read your history alone, you will see how many things are from one person's point of view. I don't have a problem with that too much, but I have to take money. So read history, but read your own history, triangulate, find the truth, okay? And one of the things that I am going to say is that whatever you find, like I said, give people the respect they deserve, but don't give them the ones they haven't earned. Have allegiance only to the truth. In becoming a public intellectual, in becoming a person of significance who will stand and confront, not unnecessary, but confront the conditions and situations and persons of a time, have allegiance, hold allegiance only to the truth and to facts. Don't let anybody, young or old, tell you what something is when it is not. For instance, I've just told you something. Wherever you say people are going, hey, become about it. Ask them, who fought for Ghana's independence? And they'll tell you, oh, Ghana's independence. There have been wars. The Ashantis have fought wars. The Fantis have fought wars. None of them was a war for independence. That's a fact. Confront them with it. When they tell you the 3 ex-servicemen who they were not fighting for independence. They were ex-servicemen who went to war. They were promised a pension. They did not get the pension. When they came, they were neglected. So they were walking to the castle to go and demand that they pay what they had been promised. In the process, they were shut down. They were not fighting. The fact that their sacrifice was taken advantage of, and we later ended in independence, there is a distinction there. And it is important for you to have those clear distinctions. I told some people something. And I'm still talking about all allegiance to the truth. And what I told them is this. I was in the UK with the some lawyers in the UK. We were going there to look for business. They come here, they take all our business away and that kind of thing. So we went there looking for business. And the president of the UK law thing said, okay, yeah. And they said I should speak. And I said, you know what? In 1827 or something,
A lawyer from Ghana called Mr. Aceye. And that's the land bill. But the land bill is the reason why our lands in West Africa were not taken over by the British Crown. You see, in Zimbabwe and South Africa, the Crown owned the land. That's why they had wars, they had to fight them back. Here, they were going to own everything just like in those places. But Mesa Saba and a couple of people were paid by a man called Pablo, called Wilson Say. Read your history. Our history has many clues. And said, no, we can't have that. He was a rich man, but again, he made himself useful to society. He called the lawyers in the land and said, you need to go to the UK. I will pay for it. Put them in a ship. They went to the UK. And they went and argued and said, no. This is where that saying that our lands belong to generations, dead, alive, and unborn. That's what they do. They put out a cogent, sensible argument to convince the English crown not to take over our lands. That's how it was said. Very right. Right. So when I went and I was talking to them, I said, you know, way back then, we had lawyers who stand toe to toe with you. What it means is that there are quality lawyers in Ghana, so please come and give us work. And after I made my speech, two of them actually stood up and said, you know the truth, we know. That's what they said. They said, we know. But here's the point. For me, I was telling this group of people, it is worth more that I, as a Ghanaian, can stand anywhere and say that much as there is virtue in fighting for independence and for self-determination and all and shedding blood, much as there is virtue, I think there is higher virtue that I come from people who did not have to shed blood to get it, but with the force of their intellect, with their minds, with their ability to stand, think, organize, and debate and win a debate, they stood toe to toe with the greatest and most powerful kingdom on earth at the time, the British, and were able to get for us this country independence on the east of the country. I find that far more than to say we got up and went to fight and we shed blood. And our history says we did not fight. It's okay when political parties fight. But the point I'm making is all allegiance to the truth. And have your facts, read your history. And when you confront whoever those people are, tell them, I want to belong to that country which is able to win things by the power of their land. And I don't want you to distort that history, because I want to tell the child that. And in holding allegiance to just this truth, you will come to find in many cases that whatever politicians promise you, when you push them, holding the truth and facts to them, they will come back empty. And then you can move on to force them to do the things that create a greater and better society, so that you will achieve your greatest potential. And if you do not do that, if George Ayittey dies and we can't replace it, if my generation dies and you can't replace it, and you all get up and just get a degree, go and make money and do nothing, we will end up in North Korea. Because there are always a group of people who are happy to take advantage of you if you will not step up to confront them. And this country is yours too. This country is yours too. Like I said from the beginning, they don't have any right beyond what you are as human beings. The rest is details. I'd like to bring my talk to an end and urge you. There's a lot more we can discuss. But like I said, let this not be the end. Let this be the start. And what we are looking for is people who take whatever they are learning, who understand that you need to build a good society. And the good society requires you to consistently be engaged. And to be engaged and to be useful, engage yourself, not just go through school. But don't do it just for yourself. Bring it to on your society. And in bringing it to society, be prepared to confront anybody. To do that, be a master if you are not something, whoever you come up against, give them the respect they deserve, don't give them what they have not earned. And avoid the obsequious respect we give people simply by being old or something. And confront them with facts. Have the courage of your convictions. And whenever there's a debate, show the data. Give them the backing behind what you are saying. And consistently insist that anything that will be done, because you understand economics, that every choice is another choice not taken. It's a trade-off. And you understand history. Look at the history of Africa. Look at the history of other places. Look at how they made decisions and what they did and how it ended. And look at other places and the kind of decisions they made and how it ended. Confront them with these things. Stand your ground. You will not win all, but you will win some. And if more of you do this, we will get a good society. We need